Hi guys, it's me, Salagi. I just wanted to show you a fire that just popped up about, I'm not sure, but it's already up to almost 400 acres. So here we go. Let's look at, it's probably gonna hone in on the fire once it gets alerted. There it goes. This is out towards Apple Valley in California. So the camera is shooting from, the mountain range where Big Bear and Lake Arrowhead and all that is coming from. Let's go ahead and watch that again. We'll just do 1 hour because I think that's about when it started, maybe about an hour ago. And it says an extra 10 engines were sent out to this fire. I don't think it has anything to do with what's going on in LA. However, it's not that far away from the LA area, so I wouldn't rule it out. I would say it's a huge possibility, but I don't really, it's far. Like if they have some kind of thing going on in Apple Valley or Hesperia area, maybe. But I know people are on high alert regarding the stuff going on in LA, and so here we see it's by Hesperia, Victorville, Apple Valley, and Lucerne Valley, and that lake right here, that's Big Bear Lake. So you see it's not too far, but it's actually like out in the middle of nowhere. So there we go again, another situation where it just starts from nothing. There's no clouds in this area today. Now maybe this area, but where I'm at, it's not cloudy at all. And I don't think there may be some clouds piling up from humidity, because that does happen with the evaporation rate when it's really hot. So you can actually see on some of these cameras. I'll have to show you guys sometime when I see it. But with the time lapse, it just starts, I'm sure you've seen it before, where it just starts billowing up, kind of looking like fire smoke almost. But here's another angle. Let's see what this one shows us. And with these revolving cameras, when they spot something, they usually stop and then zoom in on it, but this one doesn't look like it's doing that. And I'm getting dizzy. Well, we can clearly see that there's smoke from this angle, but let's see what camera 1 shows us. Oh wow, here we go. This is quite a big fire, but like I said, it's kind of out in the middle of the desert. Like nobody really lives in a lot of these desert wide open spaces. There's hardly nobody living there. So it's just very odd, and I think you can see from the picture there's no clouds. It's just the fire smoke. So that was a pretty good angle to catch it from. Let's see if this one shows. Oh yeah. My goodness, this is too much. And there it goes. It hones in on that, and it's the kind of fuel that would be right in that section, peering out above these, I would say these are juniper trees, maybe. This indigenous to this area, but right where the fire's at, the vegetation that would be in that area is creosote bushes, which are highly flammable. There might be some random Joshua trees or yucca trees, well, yucca plants. There's also just various indigenous weeds that we would consider weeds, mallow bush and things like that, but particularly the creosote, aka greasewood or chaparral. Those bushes are so plenty in the desert areas here that they would be fueling the fire pretty bad. I think what happens is, and this is from experience, what happens is the bush will be on fire and it will create its own heat. There's oil, there's grease or whatever. It's a very oily type of bush, and it crackles and it pops, and it sends initially very hot oil, like burning oil in every direction. So they are a concern, the creosote, and from what I understand, our lovely rangers, we had a ranger program out here that recently got cut, and I say that sarcastically with the lovely rangers. Well, they had a replanting program for these creosote bushes, and I'm glad it got cut, because those are the most abundant bushes that we have in the desert. So there's not really any valid reason for them to try to repopulate those bushes, because they're not in any way, shape, or form going extinct or anything. Like, you can chop it all the way to the ground and it'll come back stronger than before. It's one of those kind of resilient type of plants, and so it's just not necessary for anyone to replant them. They come back on their own. So to me, I see it as wasted taxpayer money, wasted tax dollars, and not to get political or anything, but I'm just really glad that was probably one of the programs that got cut. It's just an absurd idea to think that we would need more of those bushes. And I probably showed you pictures of it in my posts. And it is a very healing plant. But like I said, we have a lot of them. It's not like they're, a lot of people look at the desert and they don't see anything. And you kind of have to look towards the things that you don't think are alive because they come back every year, and it'll be the same plant but just renewed, and that's how they are. I guess that's called annuals. I think we already watched that angle of the fire. What about this one? Yeah, that was the one we just watched. How about, can we see it? I think the mountain's in the way with that camera. And this one maybe. So we just don't need those bushes. I mean, we do, but they're resilient. They don't, and there's nobody endangering them aside from the off-road vehicles. Now, I will say that might have been why they were trying to replant them within the monument area. But then again, I'm thinking, if we had so many rangers before, why aren't they patrolling the park and making sure people are not riding their off-road vehicles in the park boundaries? So there again, there's some more wasted taxpayer money if they're not patrolling like they're supposed to be and making sure people are like, I mean, we have problems of people like they don't realize how hot it is even in the springtime or even in the wintertime. And it doesn't get hot in the winter, but you still get dehydrated because it's the desert and you have to basically bring enough water, and it's heavy. Water's heavy, so people, they don't typically bring enough water when they're going out hiking or rock climbing, and the rangers are there. They're supposed to be rescuing people, but then we end up having to call in the actual rescue team. And it almost seems like, the rangers maybe aren't doing all the things that their job pertains to, if we then end up having to call in extra services just to, I know they can't be everywhere, but they were complaining a lot about losing 6 positions. Only 6 people got laid off, and that seemed to be a big problem in our area. Now let me show you the monument. So this is Joshua Tree National Park monument. So, there's within these road boundaries, that's basically the line, except for right here at the 10, there's a mountain range, and obviously the mountain range kind of like cuts us off, but it goes all the way to about where the Eureka fire, that's part of the monument. So it is a big area, but I don't know if you can see, if I zoom in, a lot of it's wash, like flash flooding wash areas, and nothing is, the bushes do grow in the wash. I don't know if you can see, the dark areas are kind of like, those are all the bushes. Like trillions, I don't know how many bushes, but mixed in there are also Joshua trees. But most of that area, even in the wash where you would think they're not growing, they're everywhere. And I don't see any evidence of like off-roading other than the regular road that's there. So I know this is a long video talking about virtually nothing, but I'm just kind of explaining and helping you guys to understand the politics that go into where our tax dollars go. And then when they complain about things getting cut off, it's like, well, it wasn't being managed properly. This is all desert, this is all the monument. That's Eagle Mountain. That's a controversial site too, where it used to be the dump, and I guess, I don't know, it's probably native land, I'm sure. I don't know who owns it, which band of California Indians, but I don't think they use it for a dump anymore, so that's just a different subject. Yeah, so this is Joshua Tree, and they don't need more creosote bushes. They have plenty of creosote bushes, and we're okay. We really don't, it's like, it's our signature smell out here. When it rains, all those creosote bushes, they open up their pores. Even if it's not raining, like if the clouds just roll through here, they'll open up their pores to like draw in that moisture into the plant, into the leaves. And so that's how they survive in this arid type climate where it hardly ever rains. And that's why I say they're so super resilient. Like, it can go for decades, maybe not decades, but like months and months without any rain, and those those bushes are gonna survive. And if you look at all that desert area, all of it contains the creosote bush. So anyways, that's I just wanted to let you guys know that it's just it's our native bush, but it's so abundant. Like there's so many of them everywhere. Here's another fire, Kauai fire, and the name Kauai, that's one of our local tribes. And it says 5% contained. That's only 134 acres, and I'm not sure why they're calling. Okay, so it's Kauai Mountain Wilderness. That's why they're calling it the Kauai fire. Let's see if we can go ahead and see this. Maybe no. South. Yeah, it would be more northerly, I think. So this one probably isn't going to show us. But beautiful, beautiful view. Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna be able to see this one unless possibly this camera will be able to show it. It's smaller than the ranch fire. I don't know if that way out in the distance is part of it, perhaps, but I don't know. It's probably too far over. It won't, it's not going to really show us. And this one is only facing one direction, so that's not going to work. Anyways, this is also in an area that like is really, there's no homes or anything. And again, I don't understand what is creating these wilderness fires where it's not even a campsite. Like there's just a dirt road and nothing else. Bunch of creosote or juniper bushes. That's it. That's all there's nothing in the area that's not even a cigarette butt. And that's something I've had an issue with for a long time, because they always try to say these fires are caused by cigarette butts. And I used to be a cigarette smoker, and I mean, I just really feel like that's not as common as they want us to think. I really think there's something else going on with some of these fires, not all of them, because reality says, you know, not all of them are a conspiracy, but particularly the Palisades and Altadena, you know, those ones, the Paradise, California, Lahaina in Hawaii, that's all very controversial. And I will go so far as to say even a fire that we had way back, I'll show you where it's at, where it was. I think, in my opinion, that the fire that we had, where is it? The fire that we had way before the Paradise Fire or anything like that, it was over here. Let's see. There's Rimrock and Pioneer Town. It was in the Sawtooth Mountains right here, Pioneer Town. And basically, I think it started in Gamma Gulch area, which they don't have that on here because it's kind of a small, maybe it is, yeah, I think it's too small for anyone to really see, but I'll show you. It's in this area, the Pipes Canyon area. That's where it started, but it went like all the way from Rim Rock up here, and on the left all the way down to the Sawtooths below the Pioneer Town area, and that's a monument too. That's the I think it's called the Pipes Canyon Preserve or something like that. Anyways, the fire that happened there, I was living over in this area that says Aberdeen. I was living in that area, and I saw it from my front porch, and it was crazy. It was very crazy. The wind was crazy, and that was the first time I had ever heard of a fire-nado. No joke. I know it's probably a common word now because it's an anomaly they keep seeing in these weird fires that were happening, you know, like the Lahaina and the ones that they talk about that potentially, I don't know what I can say and can't say on YouTube, but like, well, you know, that weapon, the questionable weapon that they say could potentially have caused some of these questionable fires. Anyways, in my opinion, I believe that fire that happened in Pioneer Town, I think it happened in 2006 or somewhere around there. I think that one was maybe one of the earlier ones. It happened before the Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire up in Northern California. So this one happened before that one. Anyways, I don't want to keep yakking away, but let me know what you think. And if you look up that fire in Pioneer Town, I did make a video or two, like, I don't know, it was like a year and a half ago, regarding that fire and whatever old footage I could find. And yeah, in some of that footage you see the fire-nados. It's just like a tornado, like a little, I want to call it like a dirt devil, but with fire, because we get dirt devils out here. What else would they be called? A dust devil, dirt devil. It's basically just a desert tornado, and you see the dust. There's a dust funnel and all that. So, but anyways, the wind was so crazy that day, and it whipped around the fire. And I actually had, when my daughter was in 4-H, the leader, like the adult leader of our 4-H group, lived up there, and she had horses and goats and chickens and all that, and they only had 5 minutes to get out from the time that the fire department was going around door to door. They were trying to tell everybody, and I don't even think that there was time for everyone to get out. I think her neighbor, who was an elderly man, passed away in that fire, and she had horses and goats, and some of the people had to leave their horses, or whoever. I think it was actually ended up being safer if they had left the horses in their pens, and some of those horses survived. A lot of the people let their animals loose. Well, the problem with that is the ground, because of those creosote bushes I was telling you about, those were popping and cracking and sending burning oil everywhere. So the ground was like burning embers on the ground, as the fire was moving through. That's what happened to and anyways, I really don't like talking about it because it is a very touchy thing when I think about animals going through this, but they don't know. These domestic animals they don't have the same instinct as wild animals. The wild animals were gone already. They sensed it long before, but because the domestic ones had to wait for the humans to go out there and unlock the gate or whatever they're going to do, and they didn't have time to load them up in their trailers, Some of them were just leading them out, had their arm outside the window and leading the horses down the street. But even then, like, you gotta hurry. Nobody can slow down. Everybody has to, like, there's only 5 minutes to get out. So that's a crazy scenario. Anyways, now I'm rambling, but the horses and the goats were running across these embers, and some of them didn't survive because their hooves were burnt completely, if you get what I'm trying to say. And we were in 4-H, so that was like horrible, because the whole point to 4-H is learning how to take care of animals and keeping them safe. And we're a community. We help each other to evacuate the animals from the places where people have livestock. And in that scenario, you just can't win against nature, or whatever the hell that was, because I don't even know if that was 100% nature. I do believe that something happened in Pioneer Town, California that day that was not, that we can't blame on God. I'll just say it that way. So, sorry guys, I get choked up thinking about that. I guess because it's something I actually firsthand experienced. I wasn't there in the town, but I seen it on fire from my front porch. To the point where I was loading up my photo albums and photo CDs and whatever precious items that are irreplaceable. I had them all ready to go in my car. And me and my at the time, my husband and my kids and everybody, and I had horses at the time. I didn't have any other livestock, but we had horses, so I had to make a plan for them as well. And it's just something you got to do when you're responsible for other people and other animals. You're responsible for their lives. And sometimes even your best efforts just do not match up. So the best we can do is prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Pray for the best. Pray for your preparations in that sort of time of need, because you never know when something turns into a complete emergency. And I know the people of LA right now are experiencing yet another situation where maybe it's definitely not as bad as the fires were in January. But I'm very sorry, guys. I got interrupted by my son again. It happens. But just stay alert. There's some crazy stuff rumored to be happening. Wow, look at all of these. I'm not going to cover all of them, but definitely, like I said, stay alert. Like there's rumors of more situations like the LA riot situation popping off. They're talking about this Friday and Saturday, and maybe like the week after that too, of more of the same, but in other places. And I don't want to say the word or what it's called because they might censor my video, but if you know, you know. And it has to do with just everything that's going on right now. And I believe they said it'll be California and Texas. Texas looks pretty quiet. There's no fires, but definitely I feel like what's happening in California, in LA, I mean, you know, some of these could be arson, but I don't want to say that because I don't know. But you never know. You just don't know until they find something out. And I also wanted to show you guys that I tried to go see yesterday. I was trying to see if I could see, like, from these little traffic points. Oh, now it's up and running, but yesterday they had all these cameras, see, like that, all of them, where the riots are happening. All these cameras are blacked out. They don't want us to see, or maybe somebody knocked them out. I don't know, but I would say a lot of the, I don't think they know where these cameras are possibly at. I guess you could figure it out just based on this map. But some of them, like, I'm trying to click on this one and it won't let me click. Right here, it won't, oh, there we go. See, and it's not available, so a lot of, they don't want us to see what's happening from the street view. And they're all just, anyways, well, we know, like, they want us to go down there as like a journalist and document it that way, because they are trying to censor the violence. So the only way that any of us can see what's actually happening in the Compton area, where did it go? I lost it. There's Torrance. Well, you know what I mean. This whole area is under high alert because of what's going on. So I don't know. I just wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they would let us continue to view the cameras even when there's stuff going on, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to go over there and document stuff. So, I mean, unless, I guess, we don't have any rights someday, but God forbid that never happens. And I mean, I don't want to get political, but I do agree with Trump. I think you guys probably already know that I mean, America being a country and staying a country is super important to me. And I think if you could call yourself an American at all, you would understand that. And as a Native American, like, where else will I go? This is my country. I don't have anywhere else to go. And so, me personally, I'm thinking anyone coming here, they're not using that same philosophy. Like, whatever happened to standing your ground? Like, this is your country. You stand your ground, and you stand up for, I guess, for your land. You know, that's kind of how I see it, is you don't run away to another place. And I get that a lot of people were coming here for opportunity and a better way of life. Yes, we all want that. But my problem is when you come here and disrespect the whole idea of what being American is. Don't have to get into a big discussion about it, but if you want to, drop your comments down below. If you have your opinion about it, I will have a conversation, and I'll be as, nice as I can be about it, but I'm never gonna veer away from the facts. I want the truth. You guys know that. But I do believe that in no way, shape, or form, if something were to happen and we were taken over by some other country, they are not going to respect being American whatsoever.